My name is Alex Goldschmidt, the official commentator. We're broadcasting via the Circuit BA here at the Home of Champions, also via the dedicated live stream and our audio partners continuing on into next season, Downforce Radio, the nation's motorsport station. So it is crunch time. Our race to Sarno ends here in the Limburg region where we started things off back in late March. We had the kick-off just a month before then, and we've had some fantastic action throughout the season. And we have 6 titles to decide, which will be concluded by the end of tomorrow afternoon's action. 6 titles to give away. 4 tickets for the 20th running of the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals, which take place at the Circuito Internazionale Napoli in just 2 weeks' time. So we'll be giving away 4 tickets, one to one of the Junior Max drivers, Senior Max, DD2 and DD2 Masters. What's more, in addition to that, we will also be giving away to the respective weekend winners of the following classes: Micromax, DD2 and DD2 Masters, an entry-only ticket, and I stress the word only because it is just entry fee that will be covered, for the 2020 Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy taking place next August. And the weather is, those who are probably watching at home on the live stream, thank you very much. We have an international field here, as far east as the Philippines and Japan, coming all the way over to continental Europe. We have entrants from Russia, from Finland, from Greece, the United Kingdom, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, and a few others beside. So very soon we will be getting underway with our qualifying stages. Now, for those not really aware of the format for the BNL Karting Series, we do have 2 races, but this has been slightly changed due to the amount of seniors that we actually have here this weekend. 44, if memory serves me correctly. We have a total of 119 competitors, 6 different classes, 16 different nationalities. And it's going to be very interesting. Over the course of the day, we'll start with the qualifying side of things, which will be kicked off by the Senior Max division. They'll be split into 2 groups, all designated by lottery. And then we will also have the qualifying for Junior, Micro, Mini, DD2 and DD2 Masters. Apart from the Senior Max contingent, the other 5 classes will run in 2 respective finals per day, so 2 races per day, whereas the Senior Max will have to go through the qualifying heat stages. Towards the end of the day, we will have a second chance heat, or in the UK it's known as a repechage, where anyone from 29th and below, depending on the points that they've accumulated throughout the day's action, will go into that second chance heat. The top 8 will then qualify for the last race of the day. So we should be going all the way through to around about 12:25 local time for the hour's lunch break, and then we resume at 13:25. Meanwhile, qualifying is now underway for the first of 2 Senior Max sessions, and we have quite a whole host of drivers. Predominantly in this class is from the United Kingdom, so we have the likes of Lewis Gilbert, Jason Lockwood. We also have Maxim Turyev from Russia. We also have the 2019 Rotax Max Euro Trophy champion Matilda Olsson here. She's been practicing. She recently took part in a race at the Belgian Max Challenge a couple of weeks ago. She's here again here at Karting Genk. We've got Sam Harrison, Stormbroer, Felix Varger, Vincent van Kerkhoff and Clementine Benoit, Charlie Turner and Mick Knowlton amongst others. So 5 minutes on the clock as the drivers take those tentative steps. They've had a warm up this morning, but there is still that chance that there will be some damp patches on the circuit. It has been declared a wet meeting so far, as the drivers, it looks like the 302 of Kian Sang there from the United Kingdom, just getting out of the way and trying to get a premium on track position. So Lewis Gilbert sets the first benchmark of a 1 minute 3.315. Jason Lockwood, who classes himself very much as a wet weather specialist, he actually took a surprising pole position, I think to a lot of people, at the Euro Trophy finale at Wackersdorf in early September, which was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So 3 minutes and 20 on the clock left in this first of 2 Senior Max qualification practices. And then based on their results, will depend on which groups they go in. They'll be split into 3 respective groups, A, B and C, and each driver will have 2 qualifying heats a little bit later on, and if they're outside of the top 28, they go into the second chance heat a little bit later on. So Gilbert setting the pace on a 1 minute 3:15. Lockwood on a 63.390. Then it's Ben Donking making it a British 1-2-3 at the moment. Maxim Turya from Russia is rounding out the top 4 ahead of Dylan LaHaye, who's just 7 points behind Clayton Ravenscroft in this championship coming into this final round. He took the weekend win at Marienburg at Karting Genk back in early July, with Lewis Gilbert leading the gaggle of karts, the gaggle of drivers effectively, from 4th to 8th position, who are just separated by 27 points coming into this round, and that will include the likes of Patrick Rundqvist from Sweden, Charlie Turner, who's in this qualifying group at the moment. He's got a little bit of work to do as the Brit in the 3:01. Mario Sidler from Switzerland is also in this group, along with Josh Powell, Mick Knowlton, Sam Harrison, Clémentine Benoit, amongst others. Matilda Olsson has just got up into 5th position, as Mick Knowlton is on the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 1.549. Gilbert in second, Dylan LaHaye running out the top 3. Storm Brouwer from the Netherlands is in 4th ahead of Matilda Olsson. Tom Edmonds from the UK leads a trio of Brits, including Ben Donkin and Will Jenkins, with Felix Varget and Vincent van Kerkhoven rounding out the top 10, as Jason Lockwood now goes top with a 1 minute 0.632. But then Dylan LaHaye responds in kind with a 59.903, but that's quickly eclipsed by Storm Brouwer, as the drivers are really having to jockey around for position at this particular moment. So 2 drivers, that's Storm Brouwer from the Netherlands and Dylan LaHaye, title protagonists, rounding out the top 2 at the minute with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go on the clock. And very technical circuit here at Karting Genk, with quite a few technical challenges, but also some good opportunities for slipstreaming, especially down the back straight from turns 6 to 7, where if you get a good run on your opponent, you can not only just pass road-going parallel traffic, but you can also make sure that you... Good morning, Kevin from Voss Media, who's going to be doing our after movie as always. Stellar job that vossmedia.be have done for us all season. Also, we can't forget kartphoto.com and Michael Mellis and the team there. They've provided some great photos all the way through. They will be available post-weekend, round about sort of Tuesday or Wednesday, if memory serves me correctly, as Dylan LaHaye is in the top position, 59.152 from the Belgian. Lewis Gilbert is in second, and then it's Storm Brouwer, Matilda Olsson, then Max Stemmerdink, Jason Lockwood and Tom Edmonds. And now they are the only 7 drivers out of the 22 circulating at the moment, as the time now expires. The checkered flag waves on the start-finish line. So Clémentine Benoit, 19th quickest. As there goes through into shot Dylan LaHaye in the 3:28, and he's now coming around the final couple of corners to complete his final flying lap. Charlie Turner, 19th. The Brits got a bit of work to do, unfortunately, as more drivers will complete. So Lewis Gilbert initially goes top with a 59.003, but Dylan LaHaye has responded, 58.734 from the Belgian. So the times are quickly coming in, as Storm Brouwer pips Dylan LaHaye by just over a tenth of a second, 0.14, as it's a full course yellow flag situation around the circuit. So Storm Brouwer takes the top time in that session of 58.594, ahead of Dylan LaHaye, with Ben Donkin leading a quartet of Brits ahead of Lewis Gilbert, Tom Edmonds and Jason Lockwood rounding out the top 6. Then it is Matilda Olsson from Sweden, Max Stemmerdink from the Netherlands, Maxim Turya from Russia and Will Jenkins from the United Kingdom rounding out the top 10, who are all separated by a fraction over 1 second. Then rounding out the 22 strong, it's Mick Knowlton, Kian Sang, Sam Harrison, Mario Sidler, Felix Varget, Vincent van Kerkhoven, Oscar Hall from the United Kingdom, Bram Ossevaarde from the Netherlands, Victor Plateau from Belgium, Charlie Turner from the UK down in 20th at the end of that session. It's a quick fire qualifying format in the BNL Karting Series. 5 minutes the drivers have to put down their best lap times. Clémentine Benoit and Josh Powell round out the 22 strong. So that's the first of two Senior Max qualifying groups. So Breuer takes it from La Haye, Donkin, Gilbert, Edmonds, Lockwood, Olson, Stemerdink, Turiev and Jenkins rounding at the top 10. Mick Knowlton was literally 4 1,000ths of a second of getting into the top 10 behind Will Jenkins. Kian Sang in 12th, Sam Harrison in 13th. And the entire field on that particular occasion, 22 of them separated by 3.5 seconds after the end of that first qualifying practice. So, as I said, it's a lottery. So the drivers will be randomly selected on which groups they go in. So we'll have another 22 up on the circuit very, very shortly. After that, we'll then have the Junior Max division, Micro Max, Mini Max, and then DD2 and DD2 Masters, as we've seen this year, have been amalgamated into one group effectively, but there are still two championships in those two classes to be decided here this very weekend. Qualifying will take us all the way up to about 20 past 10 local time before we get the first of three Senior Max qualifying heats, which will be in duration of 7 minutes plus 1 lap. For the first of two races for the remainder of the field, Micro, Mini, Junior and DD2 and DD2 Masters, their first race will be 11 minutes plus 1 lap. And then when we get to later on after the lunch break, their next race after that will be 13 minutes plus an additional lap. The Senior Max drivers that end up in from 29th downwards will have 6 minutes plus an additional lap to get themselves into the top 8 to qualify for the last race of the day, which will take place, barring any delays or any recoveries that need to happen, will be at about 20 to 4 local time. That's 15:40 Central European summertime. Good morning to those probably watching over in the UK. You're an hour behind us at the moment, so it's just gone 8 o'clock. If you have just gotten up, you'll probably need to make yourself a cup of tea, because we're in for a very, very long day indeed. So the weather hasn't really been that kind to the drivers here this weekend. Thursday and Friday have been pretty much saturated with the autumnal weather that we have here at Karting Genk. And it's not just been over here, it's also been in the UK. But we are really anticipating a great grandstand finale for this weekend. For those wondering about the 2020 BNL Karting Series calendar, no official news to confirm with you just yet, but as soon as we know, you'll be able to go to the official website, bnlkartingseries.com. We're also on Facebook, also on Twitter at KartingBNL, or Instagram, BMC_BNL. We will, when we have our championship and weekend result podiums tomorrow, we'll also be revealing the drivers who have already been confirmed thus far, heading to Sarno in Italy for Team Belgium. And good morning, Jennifer Gilbert. Thank you very much indeed. Let's just see. So, Lewis's aunt and uncle are actually here. Welcome to Belgium. So, Aunt Evelyn, many, many happy returns from the entire Gilbert family. Thank you very much, Jennifer. So, good morning to Tom, one of the team here at Karting Genk. I'm looking forward to catching up with you a bit later on. He's just pinged me a Facebook message. But it's going to be a very, very interesting day as we're just waiting for the next session, which is in about 4 minutes' time. And for those at home watching on the live stream, if you're wondering about how long the BNL Karting Series has been going on for, it's inaugurated back in 2008. It's been run by Limburg Karting, who have over 3 decades of experience running national and international events, which also include World and European Championship events as well. So it's great to be a part of this team. I'm looking forward to being again with the BNL Karting Series for 2020. So you can connect with us in multiple different ways. I'm on the socials as well. So at Karting BNL. If you're listening on Downforce Radio, you can go to at Downforce Radio on Twitter, and please feel free to ping a message. I will receive them, or tweet us directly. And it seems like there's a bit of a party atmosphere. I can hear some music blaring on the right-hand side of my commentary position here at Karting Genk. I'm just sort of overlooking the start-finish line and heading down towards turns 9, 10, 11 and 12. And it's a really dynamic circuit here. A lot of technical challenges. It has caught people out over the course of the season. Obviously, Marienburg was a new challenge for the BNL Karting Series for a lot of the drivers, myself as a commentator, because it was another new circuit that I've yet to visit, and thoroughly enjoyed our visit to Marienburg. So let's see where the calendar takes us for 2020. It's all very interesting how it will develop over the coming winter months. And for those wondering why, we're just waiting for other major championships to have their calendars in order, so at least we can then make the right judgment on where we're going, when we are going to those circuits, and there will be continued coverage of the BNL Karting Series throughout 2020, which is really pleasing from my perspective. So in terms of the Senior Max Championship coming into this round, Clayton Ravenscroft from the UK, from KR Sport in the 399, is just 7 points ahead of Belgium's Dylan Lahaye. Clayton will be in this next group. Ilian Brunsils will be in there as well, along probably with the two Hunter brothers, Reese and Kai. Along with a few others. We'll have the likes of, I've seen Guilherme de Oliveira around here as well, so he definitely made an impression to a lot of people, and as I probably said on the commentary, he put the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons at Marienburg and showed what he is capable of. There's a lot of drivers that have qualified for the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals at Sarno, which run between the 19th and the 26th of October, where the best drivers from the Rotax racing family go up against each other in a week-long drive towards becoming a Grand Finals champion. And it's the 20th running of the event, and there's been a lot of posting from Rotax themselves on social media, as looks like we're about to get our second qualifying session of the day underway here, and 21 drivers, so that makes 43 Senior Max drivers in total, with Erhard Turka, Ilian Brunsils, Guilherme de Oliveira, Andreas Heber from France, Lorenzo Stock, Endo Shogo from Japan, Kieran Gifford, Mads Rees, a name that I know very, very well. He joined us for the opening round of the season in late March and was running in two different categories. We were running with OK and OK Junior earlier on this season, but due to the lack of entries for rounds 2 and 3, we have decided to keep it to a maximum of 6. As the drivers will start jockeying, as they are doing, going down between turns 6 and 7 so far. So at the moment, looks like Zen Rudenberg in the 322 is quickest in Sector 2 at the moment. Heber's just gone quick. Well, Emily de Hoys, another driver that we need to keep an eye on from the Netherlands, is definitely looking to make amends for a difficult season for the Dutch driver. So the first bank of laps come in. Andreas Heber goes top of the timesheets, but then it's quickly deposed by just over a tenth and a half from Emily de Hoys, who just puts in a 66.284 ahead of Heber. Shogo Endo rounds out the top 3. ahead of Lorenzo Stolk and Zen Rudenberg. Then it's a trio of Brits in the form of James Lingard, Teddy Clinton and Nelson King. Tim Mika Metz from Germany rounds out the top 10 as Kieran Gifford now hits the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 3.867. Followed closely by Kieran Gifford. Just waiting to see if there's an improvement from Emily de Hoys. Ilian Brunsteel is currently third in the standings coming into this round. Is running in, as I say that, Clayton Ravenscroft has jumped to the top of the timesheets. 1 minute 3.867. So, just coming up to the halfway points as we're now going very, very closely, actually to within 5 1,000ths, make that 6 1,000ths, because Emily de Hoys has just put in a 60.005, and 1 1,000th slower is the UK's Teddy Clinton on the 3:45. Then it's Nelson King. Shogo Endo running at the top 4 ahead of Lorenzo Stolk. Clayton Ravenscroft currently 9th in qualifying at the moment, with 2 minutes and 14 left on the clock remaining. And the only driver that I haven't seen post a lap time looks to be Patrik Rundqvist from Sweden in the 3:58 from KR Sports. Guilherme de Oliveira currently running in 16th place. Brunsteel's now down into 12th behind Denmark's Mads Ries. So some of the drivers that are competing here this weekend will probably be on the chassis that they will be using for the grand finals. I know that Matilda Olsson has been running on a Sodi Kart chassis at the last round of the Belgium Max Challenge, which took place here. So Mads Ries goes top with a 58.277, quickly followed just 67 hundredths of a second behind is James Lingard. Clayton Ravenscroft, Nelson King and Teddy Clinton round out a very compact top 5, separated by just over 0.3 of a second. Ilian Brunsteel's just over half a second adrift as Clayton Ravenscroft goes sub 58 seconds, a 57.647 from the Brit. So it looks like Rundqvist is definitely going to have to get the elbows out, figuratively speaking, not literally speaking, in terms of getting up the grid, in terms of the qualifying heats that we'll have a little bit later on. So 49 seconds on the clock remaining. Ravenscroft is now just over half a second quicker than Ilian Brunsteels, with Mads Ries running at the top 3. Andreas Hebert now is down into 9th as Shogo Endo and Emily de Hoys now occupy 6th and 7th and 8th positions. Well, make that 8th and 9th as Fabian Bock from Germany in the 3:13 goes 4th quickest. Nick van der Mosselaar now up into 12th. Yash Ramjankan from the Netherlands is up into 16th place as Eduardo Cossetang from the Philippines moves up into 4th place on a 58.135. But it's Ravenscroft, Gifford and Lingard that are, it was Lingard as Brunsteels goes top by just 63 hundredths or 63 thousandths of a second ahead of Ravenscroft. Mads Ries, Kieran Gifford and James Lingard complete the top 5 as the checkered flag. That's it, the end of the session now, as drivers will now start crossing the start-finish line. Checkered flag waves here at Genk. And the first driver to cross the line is Andreas Hebert, who goes provisionally 8th in this group. But then drops to 9th as Nelson King from the UK takes 5th. Shogo Endo 13th, Emily de Hoys 14th, Lorenzo Stolk in 15th. Guilherme de Oliveira now drops down outside of the top 15, looks to be 19th at the moment as Clayton Ravenscroft on his final attempt goes up to the top of the timesheets, a 57.165 as Ilian Brunsteels now crosses the line. Does he improve? Doesn't quite, but gets to within just over 1/10 of a second. So Ravenscroft takes the session. Looks to be that he will be probably in Group A by my reckoning, as Brunsteels takes 2nd ahead of Mads Ries from Denmark. Eduardo Cossetang from the Philippines takes 4th ahead of Nick van der Mosselaar. So that is 5 different nationalities in the top 5, all separated by just over 5.5 of a second. Kieran Gifford and Teddy Clinton round out the top 7 drivers ahead of Nelson King and James Lingard, with Germany's Fabian Bock rounding out the top 10. Again in this session, just over a second separates the top 10. Andreas Hebert is in 11th, ahead of Tim Mika Metz from Germany. Sven Rudenberg from the Netherlands. Patrick Rundqvist puts a lap together and puts himself 14th in this group. Shogo Endo in 15th, ahead of Emily de Hoys, Lorenzo Stolk, Yash Ramjankan from the Netherlands, Guilherme de Rivera, Ehad Turka and Georgios Bersis from Greece. The entire field, 21 of them, separated by just under 2 3/4 seconds after that particular qualifying session. So still plenty more qualifying action to take us through. It's going to be lasting over the next hour before we go into racing for the penultimate day of the season. It's quite sad when you come to a venue and you realise it's the last race weekend of the year. Probably for me in the commentary box in continental Europe, but it won't be the last race weekend for many of the drivers that will be heading to the grand finals in just a fortnight's time, and it's going to be an interesting one for me because I'll be assisting Team Belgium with their social media throughout the race week over in Sarno. Another chance to go to Italy, a place that up until earlier on this year I hadn't visited for shy of 3 decades. Bit of an embarrassing statistic to share with you all, but it's I've seen so much enthusiasm and atmosphere at the grand finals, and for it to be in Sarno, having last hosted it in 2016, as I said earlier, there's been a lot of social media posting from Rotax BRP themselves on remembering memories of years past from when everything started. And it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere, amount of colour atmosphere, the amount of different cultures, different nationalities that will conglomerate in one place, and it just so happens to be in the shadows of Mount Vesuvius at the Circuito Internazionale Napoli. So coming on to Junior Max in terms of the title standings into this weekend, Mike van Vught from the Netherlands, the current reigning and defending BNL Karting Series Junior Max champion, is on 175 points, and just behind him is a young Dutch driver that I'm keeping my eyes on for next season, Tom Reinarts from GKS Lemons Power. He's currently second in the standings on 118 points, and just 5 behind him is Chris Harnen, also from the Netherlands, in the 264. Chris is just 5 points ahead, 5 points behind Tom. Then there is a little bit of there's a possibility that we could see 2 drivers battling for a prize ticket, which looks to be Dan Ginchard from the United Kingdom in the 254. He's just 15 points coming into this round behind Chris Harnen. And so far this season, Dan's had a sort of a mixed bag of results. Came flying out of the blocks and finished second behind Van Vught in the first race at this very venue back in late March. He's had a couple of top 5 finishes. He's also had a couple of third place finishes the first 2 races at Marienborg, and then also took a second place finish in the penultimate race of that weekend. So we'll see what happens over the course of the next 2 days. A little bit further down the order, 5th is Marlon Coppens in the 244. He's just ahead of Danny Van Dyke, who I see took the Chrono Karting Junior Max title this year. So congratulations to Danny in the 256. Tom Adams, the 2-time defending Junior Max English Plate champion, is 7th in the standings, ahead of the 275 of Matthew Higgins, who's currently on 49 points. Then it's Jules Castro and Belgium's very own Kai Rielats in the 274. Kai's recently made the move to JJ Racing, a very, very well-known team within Rotax Racing. Obviously, Van Vught has been with them for quite a few seasons, and he's picked up titles. He also defended successfully his crown for the Rotax Max Euro Trophy season back at Wackersdorf earlier on this year. And then rounding out the top 15, we've got Lars Zanen in 11th, Callum Voisin in the 235 is 12th, ahead of Maurice Schuring, Jeff Michiels, and really good to see Tom Breken back with us for another round of the BNL Karting Series. He's been plying his trade over in Italy, but he's come back home to this neck of the woods. So he rounds out the top 15. Wasn't with us for the first race weekend of the season back in late March, but he joined us at Marienborg and managed to get some points on the board, so it all helps. So they say that times are for show, points are to go, and that is very clearly the case in any championship standings these days. And apart from what's going on here at Karting Genk, there's a lot of action happening around the motorsport world. Circuit Zolder are holding one of the rounds of the NASCAR Euro Wheeling Series at Zolder. The DTM is currently in action at Hockenheim with the 3 Super GT cars being a little bit of a taster for their dream race back in late November when they head to Fuji Speedway. Funnily enough, one of the drivers, there's 2 drivers I need to mention in the DTM weekend at Hockenheim. One of them is Robin Freins, who runs with Audi Sport in DTM, but also with Envision Virgin Racing in Formula E. And then 2009 Formula 1 and 2018 Super GT GT500 champion Jenson Button, of all people. So, but we're going to concentrate on the action here at the BNL Karting Series. We've just got about a minute and a half before the juniors go out. This is a fully subscribed, sold-out grid. We even had to put a waiting list out there. So some drivers decided whether they were going to attend, and some drivers decided, well, I might as well give someone else an opportunity. We had, I think, at most, it was including the waiting list, around 41 drivers, 36 already subscribed. And we had to extend Senior Max for this particular round, which is why we capped the entries at 54. Now, all results, as they are called here at the circuit, are subject to official ratification, pending, post. They'll be ratified post every session through sporting and technical checks. So race control will have their eyeballs on stalks, reference track limits, and any sort of altercations that might happen out on the circuit in terms of racing incidents, leaving the track with 2 wheels or leaving the track with all 4 wheels. When it comes to racing, it will be a lot more stringent as well. We've had it before where drivers have had their top 3 lap times expunged due to consistent track limits violations. So now the Junior Max division makes its way onto the circuit for their first of 2 qualifying sessions. One today, one tomorrow. And we have 35 drivers here with us this weekend. So quite a few that you might recognise from the likes of the Rotax Max Euro Trophy, the Chrono Karting Dutch Championship, and also the RACB Belgian Max Challenge. So we've got the likes of Mike van Vugt, Vilgot Edquist, Bruno Mulders, who I bumped into him and his dad this morning on the way here, Matthew Higgins, Jeff Michiels, Wout Kirstens, Vilgot Edquist, and Ollie Pilker, amongst others. So we've got just 4 minutes to go on the clock in this very brief qualifying session. So the drivers will start focusing in, get themselves into the optimum track position that can best help their chances to be up as far the order as they can, because the grid positions for the first of 2 races today will be decided through this qualifying session. So it looks like Chris Harnan is going to be the first to cross the timing beam and set a 1 minute 8.3. Just ahead of Tom Heinert. Matthew Higgins rounds out the top 3 now. make that top 4 as Vilgot Edqvist from Sweden, from Strawberry Racing, rounds out actually takes the top position, a 1 minute 8.055 from the Swede. And so it's we've got the top 7 drivers having gone sub 70 seconds, the last of which is Olli Pilka from Poland in the 2:10. As Van Vugt now starting to build a little bit now, as we've customarily seen throughout the course of the season in multiple championships. He's now up into 12th position on a 1 minute 11.621, but don't count him out. You normally see that when he's at his prime, Mike Van Vugt will make a statement, and he has done this year in the Euro Trophy. So, drivers crossing the start-finish line again. Matthew Higgins now goes top, ahead of Callum Voisin. Well, no, that was quickly truncated by Vilgot Edqvist. Now, Olli Pilka from Poland, who was in the championship hunt for the Rotax Max Euro Trophy, and finished second in the overall standings and booked his place to Sarno, as did Vilgot Edqvist earlier on this season. So they rounded out the championship podium with Van Vugt, as I said earlier, successfully defending his title. So Van Vugt at the moment is going to be currently in 8th place. We'll make that 7th on a 1 minute 2.421, as Kai Rielert now jumps up into 3rd position. Nice little work there from the 274 from Belgium, 1 minute 1.773, but Pilka has the initial advantage. Daniel Surankov, one of our friends from the far east of these waters, currently running in 13th. Dan Ginchard at the moment, I haven't really seen him set a competitive lap time at the moment. Feeling very, very happy that he was coming back over here, and he said, well, I've got a chance at 3rd place. You definitely have, but it's whether he's going to have to really, really fight for it. It's just going to see how it all carries on throughout the race weekend. So Jules Castro from GKS now up into 5th place with a 1 minute 0.719, as Olli Pilka is the first one to break the 60-second barrier here in Junior Max qualifying, the penultimate qualifying practice session of the season for these drivers. But no, wait for it, here comes Kai Rielert from Belgium, just 1/100th ahead of Mike Van Vugt. Then it's Olli Pilka. Those 3 at the moment are the only ones that have gone sub 60 seconds. We've got 47 left on the clock remaining. Surankov goes 27th, as the drivers are jockeying for position. Those watching at home, you can probably see the likes of the 244, and there's Marlon Coppens from Belgium. In the middle of that is Jules Castro, and there looks to be the 255, I believe, there. So we've got 19 seconds on the clock. There will be some drivers that will just miss out on getting another flying lap, as the time is fast ticking away. Pilka back up on the top of the timesheets, as we now have the top 11 drivers, which is closed off by, I'll make that the top 12, which is Chris Haanen, as Van Vugt goes second, ahead of Kai Rielert. Checkered flag now waves. And the driver that's just crossed the line with a little bit of frustration there was Jules Van Huel from Belgium, down in 34th position. Surankov 29th. Max Klappen from the Netherlands in 33rd. Nikita Genser from Germany in the 202, 22nd position. Tom Heiners goes up into 2nd provisionally at the minute, but it depends on what happens with Haanen, Van Vugt, Rielert, the likes of Machiels. Matthew Higgins takes 6th provisionally at the minute. Pilka has done the best lap time of anybody, but I'm just waiting for Kai Rielert and Mike Van Vugt to cross the start-finish line, which they should do very, very shortly. Just seen Danny Van Dijk cross the line. Where does he end up? 5th place, so that's a good effort from the young Dutchman. Chris Haanen in 6th, ahead of Jeffrey Fixit, as just keeping an eye on things. Well, it hasn't happened, so out of it all, it's 2 Belgians that will end up on the front row. Obviously, these results are provisional. Marlon Coppens takes pole position in this qualifying practice session. The 244 puts in a 58.149. That's over 0.2 of a second quicker. Now, there is a kart that is stricken, and that is Dan Ginchard. That's a real shame for the Brit. He's got a lot of work to do, but I have seen him charge through the field before. His kart's going to be recovered and taken back to the paddock. So Milan Coppens takes the session ahead of Jules Castro. So it's a Belgian 1-2. Ahead of Olli Pilka from Poland. Oscar Christensen on the 262 from Denmark rounds out the top 4 with Tom Reiners completing a very close top 5, separated by just 0.478 of a second. Danny van Dijk, Chris Hanen, Jeffrey Fixer and Mike van Vugt make it a quintet of Dutch drivers from 5th to 9th place. Kai Rilletz rounds out the top 10. Again in this session, very, very close indeed, just under, well, it's 8/1000ths off of a second covering the top 10. Margot Bonvoisin from France in the 221 is 11th ahead of Matthew Higgins. Then it's Jeff Machiels, Christian de Klein and Tom Adams from the United Kingdom that complete the top 15. Then it's Vilgot Edqvist, Sam Bergstein, Bruno Molders in 18th, Lars Zenen and Dirk Janssen rounding out the top 20 ahead of Callum Voisin from the UK, Tom Breken from Belgium, Spencer Shinner from the UK in 23rd ahead of Nikita Genzel with Summer Webb rounding out the top 25, and then completing the order, obviously Dan Ginchard unfortunately not having set a respective lap time. It's Jano Zolfi in 26th, Charles Peters in 27th ahead of Flint Schuring, Georgios Kalifitatis from Greece, I hope I got that surname right, but I'm sure that someone might correct me. Bart de Wit in 30th, Wood Kirstjens, Daniel Sorankov, Max Knappen and Jules Van Hoel in the 250, rounding out the 34 that completed their qualifying sessions. And very close between the top 22 from Milan Coppens down to Tom Breken, just over 1.7 seconds completes. Well, that's how they're spread over. So nice to see that. I'm keeping an eye on social media. Good to see Konrad Bayer in DD2 Masters is here with us, my friend. Ready to rumble, he says, and posts a nice picture of the track. He did try to wear some Union Jack shorts in my honour at Wackersdorf. I'm sure that you're going to come against the same regulation where you're not going to be able to wear them, but we'll have to grab a picture a bit later on, my friend, with you wearing them later on today or probably tomorrow at some point. So Milan Coppens and Jules Castro provisionally take the top 2 places in that qualifying session. So just having a look back at the Cinemax side of things, looks like Storm Brewer was quickest in the first qualifying session, but Clayton Ravenscroft was just over 1.4 seconds quicker, and in terms of the speed showing on the timing beams, Ravenscroft was over was just under 2.1 kilometres an hour quicker over the start-finish line. So there's going to be a lot of changes in terms of the grid order. So that means that we are now past the halfway point in the qualifying stages of this penultimate race day of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season here, being held at the home of champions, Karting Genk. It's also the home of GKS Lemons Power. So for those wondering about when the first races will get underway, 10:35 local time will be the first of 3 Cinemax qualifying heats. So we'll have one of those at 10:35, and then at 10 past 12, and then after the lunch break we'll have at 13:25 the last of the Cinemax qualifying heats will take place. But Micromax will be the first of the categories that will go into the proper sort of structure that we've employed all the way through. It used to be used to be counting down the laps. It's now timed races plus an additional lap at the end of it. So some of the drivers may have to find themselves, if they end up in the second chance heat, they will have completed at least 22 minutes of racing if they get into the last race of the day, which takes place at 22:04 local time. So a little bit of silence whilst the Rotax Raw will return very, very shortly in around about 2 and a bit minutes. So next up are the competitors that will be hitting the circuit will be the Micromax contingent. And at the moment, coming into this final round of the season, Tommy van der Stroys, the number 54 from the Netherlands, is just 15 points ahead of Casper Schormans in the number 40. Van der Stroys started to make his getaway earlier on in the season, taking a clean sweep of 4 victories. But for the number 54 on the Paralin chassis, it started to go a little bit awry at Marienburg. He took 2 third-place finishes and a second, along with 8 points in the final race of that weekend, whereas Schormans really came to prominence in Marienburg, taking 3 wins. And it's only been a total of 3 drivers that have secured victories this year, one of which is the driver currently in 4th in the standings, and that is Max Swiderski in the number 19. He's just 40 points behind Van der Stroys. Thomas Strauven is very much in the mix for the championship title this weekend. The number 9 from GKS Lemons Power is 21 points adrift. So with regards to the standings, so Thomas Strauven is just 21 points behind Casper Schormans. So the number 9 is in 3rd place on 124 points. Then it's Max Swiderski on 120. So still very much the top 4 have a very, very distinct fighting chance to get their title aspirations hopefully confirmed later on this weekend. Dries van Langendonk, number 15, is 5th on 81 points, still has a mathematical chance, as do the following drivers: Olivier Jonkers, Matera Denkovic, and Mika van der Pavert. I haven't seen Mika's name this weekend. Karl Staut, who's recently taken a lap time record in Switzerland, is in 9th and is 97 points behind Van der Stroys. But anything can happen in racing. And I'm definitely in no qualm at all that it could happen this weekend. We'll see how things and a nice little message from Siobhan Turney, mother of Joe Turney, who's currently with Tony Kart and was recently out on track at South Garda with 4-time Formula 1 world champion Sebastian Vettel. So Siobhan says, BNL holds many happy memories for us. Good luck to all the drivers, and especially to whoever takes over the title from Joe. Joe was our title winner from last year in Cinemax and put on a fantastic dominant display. So now we get on to our 4th of 6 qualifying sessions here, and it's Micromax this time. So Dries van Langendonk, Thomas Strauven and Olivier Jonkers look to be the 3 that have got out first. So these might be our youngest drivers out of the entire 119 here this weekend. But this is the building block for Rotax racing. This is where the drivers really get to learn firsthand about how to compete, how to steel yourself ready for a rolling start formation, but also how to put your best lap in qualifying down on the asphalt when it really, really counts. And this is where it happens now. So we've got just under 4 minutes of this session to go. And it looks like that's Olivier Jonkers that is actually out in front. We've just seen Karl Staut, who's currently 4th in the queue, as Jonkers will set the benchmark, followed by Thomas Strauven. And we'll just see how they get on. So Van Langendonk, it looks like that's Dries. Goes top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 10.251. Ahead of Len Nys in the 17, but Casper Schormans, the danger driver to Tommy van der Stroys, has just put it on provisional pole with around about 3 minutes and 20 to go. A 1 minute 10 point, and that is Karel Stout, who's unfortunately just beached. Front wheels are on the asphalt, on the entrance into turn number 6, and the driver's now out of the kart trying to lift up the back bumper and get everything on a level asphalt surface. So that's compromised Karel Stout's position in this qualifying session, as the trio of GKS Lemons Power drivers at the front of the field are they look to be working together slightly. Looks like Strauven's going to cross the line. Let's see if he improves from 4th. And he does. He goes to 2nd as Len Nys takes provisional pole position. A 1 minute 5.014 from the number 17. Olivier Jonkers now up into 4th place. Matej Radenkovic now goes 5th quickest, but then that's quickly eclipsed by Casper Schormans, who goes up into 3rd ahead of Tommy van der Stroys. So the top 3 separated by just 4 1/4 tenths of a second. So Nys leads from Strauven, Schormans, van der Stroys, Dries van Langendonk. Max Sadursky now jumps up into 6th place ahead of Olivier Jonkers. Matej Radenkovic in the 99, 8th. Ollie Wise, one of the 3 drivers that has actually made it here to Karting Genk. Really good to see. He's the first ever driver to compete in a UK Micromax event, which took place at Forest Edge just a handful of weekends ago, and was 2nd in the race behind the eventual winner, Macaulay Bishop, with Taylor Orridge, who's currently going over to the Rock Finals in South Garda this coming week. So Ollie's made the trip over with Father Matthew to represent the UK here. Really good to see. Now he's 9th at the moment, a 1 minute 8.839, as Olivier Jonkers now goes up into 5th position. But then that's quickly changed as Tommy van der Stroys puts in a belter of a lap, a 1 minute 5.302 from the Dutch driver on the 54. Casper Schormans does not improve, stays 5th at the minute. Into the last 60 seconds of qualifying we go, and it's Nys, Strauven, van der Stroys, Dries van Langendonk, Casper Schormans, Olivier Jonkers, as Karel Stout now crosses the line. Does Karel improve? Does, and goes 7th quickest ahead of Olivier Jonkers. And just behind Max Sadursky, who's running at the top 6. Matej Radenkovic. Ollie Wise rounds out the top 10. Tom van Langendonk and Kaz Tobben round out the 12 strong as we go into the last 30 seconds of qualifying for the Micromax class. All results are provisional pending any sporting and technical checks, as Len Nys gets the head down and goes slightly quicker there, 1 minute 4.064 from the number 17 from Belgium, Thomas Strauven, Dries van Langendonk. That is a trio of Belgians on the top 3 positions so far. So Van der Stroys goes across the line, does not improve, puts in a 1 minute 5.6, whereas Radenkovic does and goes a 1 minute 5.461. That puts Radenkovic just over a tenth and a half behind Van der Stroys, as the checkered flag now waves. Kaz Tobben goes 10th provisionally. Max Sadursky, provisionally speaking, will start 5th, depending on what happens on the drivers that are still circulating. So Karel Stout, 9th place, as Len Nys, and it looks like Thomas Strauven will now cross the line. A little bit further back is Olivier Jonkers in the 16th. So let's see what happens here between Nys and Strauven. Nys goes quicker still, 1 minute 3.959. Strauven 2nd, and Dries van Langendonk, it looks like, has gone 3rd quickest. Ollie Wise looks to have improved in both sectors and goes 10th. That's a great effort from the young Brit. And he's only just 1.95 seconds off of Len Nys, but there we go. It is now completed. That is it. Qualifying for Micromax is done. Len Nys from Belgium takes provisional pole position. As I said earlier, all results that I call are provisional pending any sporting and technical checks. Nys takes it by just 0.056 of a second ahead of Thomas Strauven. So it's a Belgian 1-2. Tommy van der Stroy is the current points leader, third, just over 2.5 tenths off of Nys, with Radenkovic and Schormans completing the top 5. Dries van Langendonk in 6th ahead of Max Swiderski, Olivier Jonkers, Tom van Langendonk, Ollie Wise from the UK running with KR Sport this weekend. In the 56 takes 10th ahead of Karel Stout from Belgium and Kaz Tobben from the Netherlands. So, in some respects, you could say it's a little bit of a confidence builder for Tommy van der Stroy, having taken third place and knows that Schormans is on the row behind. But we have seen stranger things happen in racing. So Len Nys takes the session. We then come to another great category here in the BNL Karting Series, and that is Minimax. This will be the penultimate session of the qualifying practice sessions that we've got here at Karting Genk. We've got 9 competitors here this weekend, but in terms of the championship standings, Tim Gerhards in the number 50 is leading the way on 190 points, just 10 points shy of coming in with 8 straight victories. However, Tim Gerhards found that Jaden Thien was closely on the back bumper, figuratively speaking, when we went to Marienborg, with Thien taking pole position for race day 1 and won both races that particular weekend on the first day. But then it started to unravel a little bit for the 107. 2 incidents in the last race of the weekend saw him plummet outside of the top 5 and also out of contention for a victory. So Tim Gerhards was able to capitalise and take wins 5 and 6. So Gerhards' lead over Jaden Thien is 190 points to 156. That's 34 points between the two. Don't forget that we've also got a youngster that is also very, very much in contention. Just 24 points off of Jaden Thien at the moment is the 155 of last year's BNL Rotax Golden Trophy runner-up Enzo Boll, who has all the way through the season, up until the final race at Marienborg, taken a consistent amount, 7 third-place finishes in a row, and has put him in the mix with regards to it. Nick Gerhards, brother of Tim, in the number 60, has a mathematical, and I stress that very, very vehemently, a very mathematical chance of taking a title. Turnschmidt rounds out the top 5. With Mini and Micromax, we will actually have a top 5 podium as opposed to a top 3. So there is an opportunity here for the weekend winner, whoever that is, to get an automatic entry-only ticket to the 2020 Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy being held at Le Mans International at the Circuit Alain Prost next August. Dates yet to be confirmed by the event promoter, but they will do so in due course. Turnschmidt rounds out the top 5. Matthias von Goetham is in 6th position on 65 points as well. Jens van der Eyden, as I've just seen that Jules van Hoel has been running in the Junior Max category this weekend. So Jens van der Eyden in 8th position ahead of Jasper Leenerts in 9th place. Max Klappen also... So the top 10 separated by 148 points. So there's a few drivers from 5th onwards that really don't have any possibility of going for the title, but there is still a chance. You never know what might happen, who ends up on the top 5 for the weekend and the top 5 for the championship come tomorrow afternoon. So we've got this session and then one more to go before we conclude the qualifying stages.
Stick. Stick is weg.
Moment.
Du hast mir schon gegeben.
Yeah. Sorry, just for the live stream, we've got some very, very welcome videos promoting for some new events for 2020. For those that aren't already aware, if you're here at the BNL Karting Series, there is a new introduction for the 2020 Rotax Max Euro Trophy season. The Rotax Winter Cup returns, and it heads to Malaga in Spain, to the Circuito Karting Campillos in southern Spain, just off the Andalusian coast, between the 21st and the 23rd of February 2020. Also, the new calendar for the Rotax Max Euro Trophy has been released. It was released at the tail end of their season, which I just so happen to be the series commentator for as well. The Easter Bank Holiday weekend is the first of 4 rounds for the championship, coming back here to Karting Genk. And then after that, the latter weekend of May, we'll be heading back to Adria Karting Raceway. And then a new venue for 2020. The UK gets a visit from the Rotax Max Euro Trophy at Paul Fletcher International between the 10th and the 12th of July. And then the 4th to the 6th of September, the season concludes in Pro-Kart Raceland Wackersdorf in Bavaria, in Germany. My second home, effectively, being a dual national. The entry banks are still open, so you can actually go to the official Rotax Max Euro Trophy Facebook page. There have been links posted on social media, including a very, very, very impactful trailer for the forthcoming season, which we will be playing over the live stream over the course of this weekend. As I'm just trying to find my USB stick at the moment, which our live stream crew were after, which I will find in due course. So just bear with me while I just go dark on the microphone for just a second. So we're just under 30 seconds away from our penultimate qualifying session of the first day of the last race weekend of the season. So they're just lined up on the pre-grid, ready to go. So I'm getting the results through thick and fast from our timing crew here at Karting Genk. A big thank you to them for what they're doing, with the timing being officially supplied by MW Race Consulting. You can head to our respective social medias on the BNL Karting Series, where links will be posted. So that will include Facebook and Twitter, which will also include the direct click-on link that will take you straight through to the action live and direct from Karting Genk. As we now get things underway, looks to be only 8 competitors here. So we have the likes of, so we've got Enzo Bol, looks to be in this one, Jens van der Eyden, Turnschmidt, Lakeron Sorensen from Denmark, Jasper Leenerts from Belgium. Then we got Nick and Tim Gerhards in the 60 and 50 respectively. And then from the Netherlands, Jaden Thien, currently in second position in the championship standings as they come into this particular round. And just coming through on the shot for those watching at home, there's Enzo Bol, the 155. So it looks like he will be setting the initial benchmark as he's coming through, quickly followed by Jens van der Eyden. And I think I've just seen Tern Schmidt in the third place in that group, with Lakeron Sorensen also coming through. So Bold sets the initial benchmark for 1 minute 6.631, with Jens van der Eyden second, Lakeron Sorensen and Tern Schmidt rounding out the top four, with Jasper Leenerts in fifth place. But Jaden Thien now jumps up into fourth place on 1 minute 7.387 as the young Dutch driver. So 3 minutes and 13 on the clock remaining still to go in this penultimate qualifying session of the penultimate day of the racing season. So some drivers opting to make sure they've got plenty of clean air around them. But then some will try and close up, and as I say that, Enzo Bol is being chased down rather vicariously by Jens van der Eyden in the 151. So van der Eyden looking to use a slipstream advantage, or trying to get past Enzo Bol, which hasn't really transpired thus far. So they come across the start-finish line. Enzo Bol goes third quickest, as Tern Schmidt goes quickest out of everybody. And then it's Jens van der Eyden. Jasper Leenerts now up into fourth place as Tim Gerhardt goes quickest of anybody. 1 minute 1.740 from the number 50 from the Netherlands. So Bol is about 1.8 seconds off of the pace that Tim Gerhardt is showing at the minute, as we have gone past the halfway marker in terms of the timer counting down. So looks like van der Eyden is trying to put one past Enzo Bol in the qualifying session, let alone the racing a little bit later on this morning. So it's only just over 0.3 of a second between Tim Gerhardt and Jaden Thien thus far. So the top two in the point standings literally are first and second respectively. So Tern Schmidt goes third, Lakeron Sorensen goes up into sixth as a result of Jasper Leenerts jumping up into fourth place. So 177 is currently now fifth, as Nick Gerhardt now goes third quickest, just behind Jaden Thien. But Thien has got no answer thus far for Tim Gerhardt in terms of the track positioning, in terms of pure lap pace. As we go into the final 60 seconds of this penultimate qualifying session of today. There'll be another one for these drivers tomorrow as well, before they go into battle for 4 races over the course of the weekend. 2 today, 2 tomorrow. So next time Enzo Bol comes across the start-finish line, it will be his final flying lap, and is being followed by the 166 of Tern Schmidt, who's currently fourth in this qualifying session at the minute. So Bol crosses the line, was sixth, now goes third, ahead of Tern Schmidt. Van der Eyden and Leenerts also respond, but Tim Gerhardt goes even quicker. That's a really good lap from the number 50 from the Netherlands, a 1 minute 0.832, and Jaden Thien goes to within a tenth. That's a great amount of work by the two young Dutch drivers. That was a 1 minute 0.934 from Jaden Thien. Jasper Leenerts has just done a 61.5 flat, just 66 thousandths quicker than Jens van der Eyden from the Netherlands. Enzo Bol rounds out the top 5, with Nick Gerhardt's 1.1 seconds off of Tim, as that's going to conclude the session here. So the checkered flag will wave momentarily, and the first person that will cross that line will be Enzo Bol, it looks like. So Bol now coming around the final couple of corners, and as he exits the penultimate corner, will put the throttle down fully to the floor and cross the timing beam, takes the checkered flag, and provisionally goes third quickest. Tern Schmidt sixth quickest. Now it's just waiting to see how the rest of them do. Tim Gerhardt does not improve, but still takes provisional pole from Jaden Thien by 0.102 of a second. So Tim Gerhardt takes provisional pole in Minimax in this session, ahead of Jaden Thien. Enzo Bol makes it a Dutch 1-2-3 in third place on a 1 minute 1.483. Then it's Jasper Leenerts from Belgium. Jens van der Eyden in fifth place, ahead of Tern Schmidt, Nick Gerhardt and Lakeron Sorensen from Denmark in the 1:32. The entire field separated by 1.434 seconds. And when they get to their first race, which will be at 11:10 local time, we will find out who is going to have the upper hand on the rest of the opposition.
That's right, I can.
So that was the penultimate qualifying practice session for the Minimax drivers for this season. And then we have two classes going hand in hand, so to speak, for the final qualifying session of this morning, before we get the racing action truly underway here at the home of champions, Karting Genk in Belgium, for the penultimate day of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season. Next up, very shortly, it will be DD2 and DD2 Masters in around about 6 or so minutes' time. In the standings coming into this round, let's look at DD2 first of all. The defending champion at the moment, Zander Triblak, is currently second in the standings at the moment. He is the defending champion. He is on 146 points, but the driver that took the lead after 3 wins on the bounce at Marienborg was Greece's DJ Liveris from Dames Racing in the 436. He's currently on 159 points coming into this round. Rounding out the top 3 is Sweden's David Remy with Dan Holland Racing. Currently on 114 points and is 32 behind Triblak. So I can see just by the leaderboard at the moment that Liveris is leading by on 159 points. He took a score of, had one shy of a maximum. 95 at Marienborg, took 64 at the first round at Genk back in late March, whereas Triblak did exactly the same as Liveris, took 3 wins and a second, was found to have been excluded due to driving characteristics in the first race at Marienborg, and that put him down to 51 points for the second round. Remy on 114 points. Then we got Belgium's Sebastien de Grand in 4th position. I know that Jan Schwitter is not here this weekend. He's currently racing elsewhere. He's in Niedelsheim in Germany. So he won't be factoring into possibly a top 3 finish. But then we have the likes of Jan Negussens in the 490, who is effectively 7 points behind de Grand in the standings. Then we've got Sweden's Madeleine Radny running on the CRG. She's currently in 7th position on 80 points, just 10 behind Gussens as well. So there's a potential that we could see a straight-out dogfight for the championship, but then also for 3rd place later on this weekend, as it's going to be very interesting to see how it permeates and unfolds before our very eyes. Then we get on to DD2 Masters. And we've got only one driver out of every single driver that has competed here this season in the BNL Karting Series that has taken 8 straight victories. That driver is also the fastest baker in Flanders. Carl Klibble from Bouvin Power in the 510 has got a maximum score of 200 points, 8 straight victories in DD2 Masters, from lights out at the first final in Genk to checkered flag at the final race at Marienborg in early July. Tamsin Germain from the United Kingdom is in 2nd position in the standings, just 71 points adrift. Christoph Adams in the 555 is 32 points behind Tamsin Germain. and could be under threat this weekend from several other competitors in terms of the final place on the rostrum. Christoph is currently on 97 points, with Christoph Leinen and Michael Becker being pretty much there or thereabouts. Becker's about 17 points adrift of Adams, with Leinen just 8 points behind the 555. Fritz Wernsen, Alexander Derlinger. There's a lot of... I'm just having a look from Christoph Adams all the way down to the likes of... in terms of the championship standings, we've got the likes of Alexander Derlinger rounding out the top 7, Patrick Weinstock from Germany, Ronald Billings, who took the Peter de Witt Fair Play Trophy home with him after Marienburg. He has cordially brought that back. We will be awarding that particular trophy. We decided this initiative on fair play, and it wasn't just about racing on track, it's your behaviour off the track as well, and everything is duly noted by the team at the BNL Karting Series, and a decision is made. It's not down to me, as much as I'd like to, but obviously Peter, we lost in January this year, a very well-known, much-loved character within the BNL Karting Series, and the Peter de Witt Fair Play Trophy is in his honour, and it is now a part of BNL Karting Series tradition. So the driver that takes home that trophy this very weekend will be able to keep a hold of it until the kick-off next season, whenever that might be, when we are able to confirm the dates. And it's just to show that it doesn't necessarily have to be about being the first on the track. It's about being to briefings on time, making sure all payments are made on time, handing in your tyre vouchers to get your tyres, and everything else, just making sure that you're doing everything to the letter as per the sporting and technical regulations. So Christoph Adams has got the likes of Leinen, Becker, Vansen, Derlinger, Weinstock, Billings, even Roland Kinch could even factor in, as the gap between quite a few of the drivers is effectively 46 points coming into this final round of the championship. But we'll find out as things do proceed, and we are just under 90 seconds away from our final qualifying session of today, and then we get the racing action started at 10:35 local time for the first of 3 qualifying heats for the Senior Max division. So it will be groups A and B going into battle first, then B and C at 12:10, with groups A and C being the first race after the lunch break at 1:25 p.m, 13:25 local time here. So, as I mentioned earlier, when we started broadcasting here at Karting Genk, that the DD2 and the DD2 Masters classes will be racing and qualifying at exactly the same time. So, drivers sitting in their karts on the pre-grid, ready to get their qualifying efforts underway here, as we're about to get the green lights being shown at the end of the pre-grid to let them go out on circuit. Which happens now, and the first driver looks to be Zonne Schublak from Belgium. So the drivers now come across the start-finish line, and Lasse Andreasen from Denmark second. Over the line, Konrad Bayer from Germany, as we've got one driver just waiting a little bit to let everyone else go past. Some drivers will look to exercise their due diligence with regards to track position. Did notice that DJ Liveris' kart was actually forlorn at one point on the circuit after their warm-up session this morning. So we just have around 4 minutes of this final qualifying session of the morning to go. So Schublak comes around the final corner, buries the throttle, He sets the benchmark, which is a 59.672. Lasse Andreasen behind in second. David Remy and Tamsin Germain. Well, we've then got Andreas Schindler from Germany, who's effectively so far the quickest of the DD2 Masters drivers. Sebastian de Grand in fifth, ahead of Tamsin Germain, Dionysius Livris, Karl Klibort, Konrad Bayer, and then we've also got Roland Kinch from the UK running at the top 10. So Schiblak and Andreasen, the only drivers to go sub 60 seconds. But I know that with the pace that DJ Livris has in the 4:36, he admitted on an interview with our good friend Ben van der Stukke that he wanted a fight and he got one. Sander Schiblak came firing back with all 125 cc's of the Rotax Max Evo engine on his DD2 kart, and picked the Greek driver to the post for the victory in the last race at Marienborg. As the times are quickly dropping, we've gone sub 56, which is Schiblak, Andreasen, Remy now up into third place, Dionysius Livris up into fourth on a 56.242. Tamsin Germain is the quickest of the DD2 Masters drivers out there on a 56.416, exactly 0.3 of a second quicker than Andreas Schindler in the 5.15 from Germany. And we've got Michael Becker from RS Competition in the 5.26, goes seventh ahead of Christoph Adams. Jordi Clervaux, Carl's son, is running in the DD2 class this weekend on the 4.10. Sebastian de Grand rounds out the top 11 positions as Jan Negusens from Belgium in the 490 goes sixth quickest and puts in a 56.576. That's 0.14 of a second quicker than Andreas Schindler, but not quicker than Tamsin Germain, who now goes fourth overall quickest and is still the quickest DD2 Masters driver out there. The Brit has just put in, she's just gone fifth, a 55.914. So Schiblak, Livris, Remy Andreasen, Tamsin Germain and Sebastian de Grand. That is the top six drivers. We'll make that top seven as Christoph Leinen now gets to within 17 thousandths of a second off of Tamsin Germain in terms of the lap time. So a straight out fight for provisional pole in DD2 Masters at the moment, but Schiblak has got to keep Dionysius Livris at bay because Livris is charging. He's just been in his a 55.286. Schiblak did a 55.246. And now Schiblak has gone quicker again. 54.294 from the Belgian. Livris now down into third place behind David Remy, who's just put in a 55.133. Livris now crosses the line and does not improve on that time. 55.493 from the 4.36 there. So retains third position as we now go into the last 38 seconds of this qualifying session. So Schiblak in the hot seat, so to speak, on provisional pole for DD2. Tamsin Germain provisional pole for DD2 Masters, but by 9 1,000ths of a second. Then it's a further 8 1,000ths back to the driver in third in terms of DD2 Masters. That's Christoph Leinen. Then Konrad Bayer has tried to join the party as well and is effectively... Well, Michael Becker's just taken a provisional pole with a handful of seconds remaining. And that's with a 55.8 flat. Tamsin Germain did a 55.914 as the checker flag now waves. And Schindler gets ahead of Bayer. And it looks... Now, let's just see what happens as Livris takes third provisionally. Sebastian de Grand fifth, ahead of Wout Antonijssen. Andreas Schindler in ninth, ahead of Konrad Bayer and Tamsin Germain. Michael Becker provisionally takes DD2 Masters pole on a 55.493. That's 0.64 of a second slower than Schiblak. So we're just waiting for a few other drivers to cross the start-finish line. I don't know if there is a transponder issue with Karl Klebort's kart. But Sander Schiblak takes that session ahead of David Remy by 0.125 of a second. Then it's basically 0.69 of a second to Dionysius Livris. Lasse Andreasen makes it 4 different nationalities in the top 4, with Michael Becker from Germany provisionally taking DD2 Masters pole on a 55.493. Sebastian de Grond in 6th ahead of Wout Antonijssen and Jan Negusens. Andreas Schindler and Konrad Bayer makes it a German clean sweep at the top 3 of DD2 Masters. Konrad qualified 10th but 3rd in class ahead of Tamsin Germain. Christoph Leinen in 12th place ahead of Christoph Adams. Fritz Fernsson, Jordi Clairvaux rounds out the top 15 ahead of Wout Coulson, Roland Kinch, Jamie Billings and Ronald Billings rounding out the top 19 with Silvio Piparato from Germany rounding out the top 20, and Carl Clairvaux showing us having no time set in that session. So the time now is 10:21 local time. I'll be back on the microphone just before 25 to 11 when we get the racing action underway here for the first of 3 qualifying heats for the penultimate day of racing for the 2019 BNL Karting Series season. So for those listening on the Downforce radio stream, thank you very much for keeping or bearing with us. There's going to be a few gaps. We've got a lot of races. We have now got 6 races over the next hour and a half or so, starting from 10:35 as the drivers for the Senior Max division for Groups A and B. The pre-grid will close in around about a minute's time before we start the session. For those wondering about how the races get underway here in Rotax Racing Circles, it will be a case of 2x2 rolling start formation, and if the race director is not happy, they will be called for a false start. So for those wondering about the running order, so at 10:35 we have the first of 3 Senior Max qualifying heats, lasting in duration 7 minutes plus an additional lap. Then we go into the first of 2 Micromax races at 10:50, 11 minutes plus an additional lap, followed by Minimax at 11:10. 11:30 we'll have the Junior Max division, followed by DD2 and DD2 Masters, with the second and penultimate qualifying heat of the day at 12:10, before we go on to the lunch break at 12:25. We'll be back at 13:25 local time for the last Senior Max qualifying heat, Groups A and C. Based on the aggregate of the 3 heats, the bottom drivers from 29 to 43 will go into the second chance heat. That'll take place at 2:30 after the Micro and Minimax drivers have their last races of the day at 20 to 2 and 2:05 respectively. We'll have a short break between the second chance heat before we go onto the last 3 races, which will start with Junior Max at 2:50 p.m. 3:15 p.m. we'll have the DD2 and DD2 Masters last race of the day before the big race, with the top 36 going through to the last race of the day at 20 to 3 this afternoon. So plenty of action to keep yourselves entertained with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, the official series commentator, and also the Downforce Radio Communications Manager. Please don't forget to visit our website at downforceracing.uk. And please feel free to find us on socials, so at Downforce Motorsport on Instagram, at Downforce Radio on Twitter, and you can type in Downforce Radio on your search engines on Facebook. Hit the like, hit the share button whenever you can, and we'll be broadcasting all the way through until tomorrow afternoon at around about 4 o'clock, when the action concludes here for the 2019 BNL Karting Series season. So we will have a lot of action. So if you haven't caught the beginning part of the broadcast here on Downforce Radio, thank you very much for tuning in wherever you are in the world. Really do appreciate your company here. This is the last of 3 scheduled race weekends for the BNL Karting Series. At the end of it, we'll crown 6 different champions. We'll also give away 4 tickets to the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals, which has its 20th anniversary and running at the Circuito Internazionale Napoli in Sarno, southern Italy, in just 2 weeks' time, from the 19th to the 26th of October, where the drivers that have qualified will have a chance to go for a prestigious title simply known as Grand Finals Champion of the World when it comes to Rotax racing. Also, we'll be giving away 3 tickets to the Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy for 2020, entry-only tickets thereof, so all other costs will be have to be met by the competitors. It is slightly different to the Grand Finals in the fact that the drivers use their own machinery, whereas everything at the Grand Finals is provided by BRP Rotax, so which includes chassis, tyres, engines, fuel, and a lot of other things as well to help them. All they need to do is turn up to the event and become part of a fantastic celebration. An event unlike any other in the world, where every single driver, every one of the 360 drivers will have qualified on merit through national and international competition throughout the globe. So we're just over a minute and a half away from getting our first race weekend action underway well and truly here at the BNL Karting Series with our first of 3 qualifying heats for the Senior Max division, which will be in duration. All of them will be 7 minutes plus 1 additional lap. So now I'll be switching to the Circuit PA and now to the live stream as well. So with qualifying now officially completed for the penultimate day of the race calendar of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season, it's going to be explosive from the words lights out, because in around 45 seconds we will get our first of 3 Senior Max qualifying heats underway here. There are still clouds in the air, the track still is damp in places, but there is a definitive line of dryness quite clearly showing. But at the beginning of the race day here today at Karting Genk, it was deemed by the organisers that it was declared a wet race meeting until the conditions changed to influence the decision to turn it into a dry race meeting. Can be done down to a multitude of factors. Obviously the weather conditions, depending on whether they improve, whether they worsen, it is all down to the organising body. But we are set to get underway with our first race, and it is Senior Max Group A and B, and they now start making their way onto the circuit here at Karting Genk. So the first barrage of action will be as follows. Clayton Ravenscroft and Storm Brouwer will be on the front row ahead of Belgium's Dylan Lahaye and Mads Ries. Eduardo Cosseteng and Tom Edmonds round out row number 3, with Jason Lockwood, Kieran Gifford, Teddy Clinton and Max Stemmerdink rounding out the top 10. And we've got Russia's Maxim Turiev in 11th, and alongside will be from the United Kingdom in the 3-3-4, James Lingard. Row 7, it's Fabian Bock and Mick Knowlton. Then it's Kian Sang and Tim Mika Metz, Sen Rudenberg, Mario Sidler, Felix Varger, Shogo Endo, Emily de Hoys, Oscar Hall, Bram Ossevarda, Yash Ramjakan, Guilherme de Oliveira, Charlie Turner, Clementine Benoit, Georges Bersis, and in 29th, and last but by certainly no means least, Ben Donkin from the United Kingdom, who looks to have had a post-qualifying practice penalty issued. So Donkin will be on the back foot as they now go on to the formation lap. On the timer has been set 7 minutes. We will get 1 additional lap of racing action. So it will be down to Clayton Ravenscroft and Storm Brouwer to control the pace of the rolling start. If the race starter is not happy, we will have a false start called. So the top 10, it's Ravenscroft from Brouwer, Lahaye, Ries, Cosseteng, Edmonds, Lockwood, Gifford, Clinton and Stemmerdink. That is the top 10, and out of it, 5 of them are Brits. So the Brits definitely out in force, as always in Senior Max, whenever I end up commentating on this particular explosive category. And we get some good, hard, firm racing, and I'm not expecting anything less from these 29 drivers now, getting themselves into the zone, focusing in, and just priming themselves to hit the throttle pedal down to the floor when the lights go out. So now the field is going to have to concertina very, very quickly, which the top 4.5, maybe make that 5 rows, have just done so. So, for those watching on the screen at home, pole position will be on the right-hand side of your screen, and second position will be immediately to the left. So, Ravenscroft and Brouwer lead the field around. They're going to have to split and go into the tram lines. Nice controlled pace from the 2 on the front of the field. So we go into the tram lines for the first time of asking here. Do we get a lights out? We do, and I don't know what happened with Storm Brouwer there, but absolutely got mugged there. Down into 5th already. Dylan LaHaye is up into second position. And now the runoff areas can be used for the first lap. But afterwards, now it looks like, keeping an eye that Tom Edmonds has made a few places in the meantime. But the top three now starting to break away. And that is being led by Clayton Ravenscroft, with Dylan LaHaye clearly on the back bumper. From the Philippines, Eduardo Cosatang really trying to steal a march on the two in front as they go through turn 7 into the right-hander at turn 8. Then into the left, 180-degree left-hand hairpin, as there's a nice little move there. Looks to be Mads Wies that has made up a position as the top three go into turn 9, now into 10, into 11, and then into 12. So at the moment, Stormbrower down into 4th position so far, but Ravenscroft is not leading. Eduardo Cosatang has just stolen a march on both him and Dylan LaHaye. Ravenscroft down into 3rd place. Stormbrower right on the back bumper of the brick going through into turn number 2. So Mads Wies now into 5th place. A little bit further back is Tom Edmonds, Kieran Gifford and Teddy Clinton. Maxim Turyev from Russia rounds out the top 10. It's 3 abreast. A little bit further towards the back part of the field. And in the middle of all of that looks to be, I think maybe, Emily De Hoys is in there. So De Hoys not having a good run at the moment, but Cosatang and LaHaye trying to pull away now from Ravenscroft, and they are doing so. But Mads Wies is on the back bumper, while Ravenscroft is trying to keep Stormbrower at bay, but has to watch out for Mads Wies, who's really on the back bumper of the 388 from the Netherlands. As the leaders come round to complete lap number 2, Cosatang in the lead, LaHaye in second, Ravenscroft, and Wies goes up the inside of Stormbrower to neatly take 4th place through turns 11 and 12, and right on the back bumper is looks to be, well, that's Jason Lockwood's actually in the front of the field. My apologies there. So Lockwood is having a ding-dong battle with LaHaye at the front of the field, and LaHaye takes the lead now through the exit of turn 2, neatly makes the move happen. So Cosatang down in 6th, ahead of Tom Edmonds, Teddy Clinton, Kieran Gifford and Maxim Turyev, who is being chased down by Max Stevenik from the Netherlands, and Lockwood went a bit wide there coming out of turn number 6. So that allowed LaHaye to get around about a 2-kart lead over the Brit, going through turn 7. They've gone through now turn 8, and Stormbrower trying to fight back at Mads Wies for 4th position. A little bit just behind them looks to be Tom Edmonds and Eduardo Cosatang squabbling over what is 6th place. Yashram Ramjakam doesn't look like is going to take any further participation as the Dutch driver, or he's probably a little bit further down off of the rest of the field. And his way down has only just crossed the line and could be lapped very shortly, but LaHaye has got a lead of 0.368 over Jason Lockwood. Then it's a further 0.3 exactly back to Clayton Ravenscroft, who has got the pair of Mads Wies and also Stormbrower quite clearly behind, as Cosatang now drops behind Edmonds into 7th position. A little bit further down, looks like Teddy Clinton's getting clearly stuck in, the likes of Felix Varget and Kieran Gifford. That's the battle of around about 7th or 8th position. So Cosatang, I don't think is going to... No, Cosatang's down, looks to be in 8th or 9th by my reckoning. He is a little bit further down the order than he probably would have liked, but LaHaye still trying to break away from the rest of the field. We've got 3 minutes and 30 on the clock left to go. LaHaye not out of the woods quite yet. Still has Lockwood, Ravenscroft, Wies, Broer, and now here comes Tom Edmonds from the UK. A little bit further, Teddy Clinton's got past Eduardo Cosatang for what is 7th position on the road, at his line astern between the top 5 pretty much. LaHaye didn't have a gap going. That's a brilliant move from Jason Lockwood up the inside of Dylan LaHaye, and also Clayton Ravenscroft pips past the Belgian in the process as Stormbrower goes up the inside of Mads Wies to cleanly take back 4th place through what was effectively turn number 4. There's a triple right from 3, 4 and 5, and Bro just had the run on Wies through turn 2 and just made it through into turn number 4, as there's another change. Mads Wies now behind. Looks to be Tom Edmonds now. So Edmonds now up into what is effectively 5th place. But at the front of the field, the top 4 line astern. And it looks to be Lockwood, Ravenscroft making it a British 1-2. Ahead of Belgium's very own Dylan LaHaye. Stormbrower from the Netherlands closely in proximity in P4 as LaHaye goes up the inside of Ravenscroft and Broer goes through 2. Tries to go on the inside of Dylan LaHaye on the final corner, but nearly ran out of asphalt there. So Stormbrower now up into 3rd. Ravenscroft demoted to 4th as a result of LaHaye getting past, and then Broer also doing the same too. So Top 10 at the moment. Ravenscroft now down into 4th position behind Jason Lockwood, Dylan LaHaye, Storm Breur. Then it's Ravenscroft. Then it's Rees now. Looks like Eduardo Cosseteng might have just got past. Well, looks like Kieran Gifford and Teddy Clinton have been embroiled in a battle all the way through the race. 1 minute and 48 left to go. Lockwood looking... Well, I'm just keeping an eye on the front of the field because it looks like... Have we had another change? Because LaHaye is still in 2nd position and it looks to be Ravenscroft in 1st place. So could driver numbers 512 and 254 make their way to the stewards, please? So 510 and 254 to the stewards, please. So Clayton Ravenscroft reassumes the lead here with around about a minute and 10 left to go. Ahead of Dylan LaHaye, Storm Breur very much in the thick of things here. And it's the 2 title protagonists at the front of the field being hounded by a Dutch driver wanting to get past as Clayton Ravenscroft goes very defensive into T7. Now into the left, into the right at 8. And it is line astern between the top 5. That's Ravenscroft, LaHaye, Breur, Lockwood and Rees. And now coming into this is now Tom Edmonds and Kieran Gifford. And then there's also Teddy Clinton too. So that is the top 8, and there is a clear gap between Clinton and Varge, who's currently in 9th position at the moment. So the top 8 running pretty much line astern. There's another change for position. Looks to be that Teddy Clinton's probably got up the inside of Kieran Gifford, or a little bit further back down is Tom Edmonds. So Edmonds slipping down a bit further down the order. So Edmonds was in 6th, might have been down into 7th place now as the top 3 still trying to break away. You cannot split them with a piece of A4 paper. Ravenscroft, LaHaye, Breur still leading the race. Mads Rees now the leader of that train behind as they go through turn 6 for what is effectively going to be the penultimate time. The timer will expire now as they head into turn 7 for the penultimate time of asking. Ravenscroft trying to get his title assault. Now, obviously, Joe Turney, last year's champion, was also a teammate at KR Sport last season. But LaHaye still trying to force the issue. It's going to be it's difficult to see because now Ravenscroft is being swallowed up. Mads Rees now up into 3rd behind Storm Breur, and Dylan LaHaye now leads. 1 lap to go. It seems. No. So final lap it is. Dylan LaHaye now 2nd. Storm Breur got past and managed to make the move through, and there's a bit of touching there going through into the approach, and Ravenscroft was hung out to dry a little bit on the inside of turn number 3. So Ravenscroft now on the back foot as LaHaye is 2nd. This is going to give him a little bit more of a confidence boost heading into his next qualifying heat a little bit later on today. But Storm Breur is leading the field as there is an absolute melee behind. Drivers trying to get past one another as best they can, but Storm Breur is heading down into turn 10 for the last time. So the checkered flag this time will be waved. So Storm Breur from the Netherlands, having started a little bit further down on the on row 2, now looks to take the checkered flag. There we go. It's a win for Storm Breur there. Provisionally speaking, Dylan LaHaye takes 2nd. Mads Rees takes 3rd place ahead of Jason Lockwood. Kieran Gifford in 5th ahead of pole sitter Clayton Ravenscroft, who really came under distinct pressure by a lot of the opposition. Teddy Clinton in 7th ahead of Félix Varge from Belgium. Tom Edmonds and Eduardo Cosseteng round out the top 10. But what a job by Storm Breur to get past Dylan LaHaye with just a couple of laps to go, as we've got one driver just a bit forlorn, unfortunately, has just got out of the kart off of the entry point into turn number 2. So Storm Breur takes the win there by just 0.267 of a second ahead of Dylan LaHaye from Belgium. Mads Rees in 3rd from Denmark ahead of Jason Lockwood, Kieran Gifford, Clayton Ravenscroft rounding out the top 6 with Teddy Clinton in 7th ahead of Félix Varge. Tom Edmonds and Eduardo Cosseteng rounding out the top 10. Kian Sang in 11th place ahead of Max Stammerdink from the Netherlands. Maxim Turiev had to fend off against Mick Knowlton from the Netherlands, and the Russian would take 13th place. Sen Rudenberg would round out the top 15 ahead of Tim Mika Metz from Germany. Charlie Turner recovered up to 17th at the end of that race, ahead of James Lingard, fellow Brit, in the 334, ahead of the number 312 of Portugal's Guilherme de Oliveira, and Oshogo in 20th, ahead of Emily de Hoyes, Bram Osevarda
Mario Sidler, Ben Donkin, Clementine Benoit, Fabian Bock, Georgios Beresis with Yash Ramajankan rounding out the 28. Unfortunately, it looks to be that Oscar Hall is the one that ended their race on lap number... Well, that is Emily de Huyse's kart there. That's quite a surprise. So, Dutch driver will be recovered back via the recovery vehicle. Stellar job that this vehicle does on a regular basis here at Karting Genk, and Oscar Hall would retire with just on lap number 6 of that race. So, our penultimate race of the morning's action here at Karting Genk. It is DD2 and DD2 Masters. Your grid is as follows. On pole position for DD2 is the current reigning and defending champion, second in the standings by just 13 points coming into this round. From Boven Power in Belgium, the number 412 of Sander Schublack. Then alongside it will be Dan Holland Racing's Swedish charger in the form of David Remy in the 455. Then it's Dames Racing's very own Dionysus Liberis, or DJ, it's more commonly known. Lasse Andreasen in the 409 joins the Greek driver alongside on row number 2. Michael Becker from RS Competition, representing Germany in the 526, will have Sebastian de Grand alongside on row number 3, with Becker taking DD2 Masters pole. Wout Antonissen and Jan Gussens make it an all-Belgian row number 4, with Andreas Schindler and Konrad Bayer making it a duo of Germans in the DD2 Masters class, completing the top 5 rows. Tamsin Germain and Christoph Leinen round out row number 6 ahead of Christoph Adams, Fritz Wernsen, Jordi Klerbot, Wood Coulson. We've then also got Roland Kinch, Jamie Billings, Ronald Billings, Silvio Piparato from Germany, and the DD2 Masters points leader, the number 510 of the fastest baker in Flanders, Karl Klerbot. So 11 minutes have been set on the timer for the final time in the morning stages of action here on the penultimate day of the race weekend and of the race season thereof. So it will be down to Schublack and Remy to control the 2x2 rolling start formation. So, from an equation point of view, if Schublack was to win and Liveris got third place, the gap would be down to just 4 points going into the next race this afternoon. But it's about consistency. It's about making sure you put your eggs all into one basket and use them at exactly the right time. Now they're being told to slow down. We'll wait and see if we do get a full start, or do we go, no, full start, second one of the day. So, another formation lap will be carried out. So, Schublack on pole, Remy alongside, Liveris and Andreasen round out the top 2 rows. Michael Becker takes DD2 Masters pole and starts on 5th alongside Sebastian de Grand from Belgium. It's Wout Antonissen and Jan Gussens on rows on positions 7 and 8, with Andreas Schindler and Konrad Bayer rounding out the top 10. Tamsin Germain and Christoph Leinen, that's row 6. Christoph Adams and Fritz Wernsen, row 7. Jordi Klerbot and Wood Coulson, row 8. Roland Kinch and Jamie Billings, row 9. Ronald Billings and Silvio Piparato, that's row 10, with Karl Klerbot certainly last, but certainly by no means least. So, they're going to try and get the formation lap a bit more into order this time around before we go racing for the penultimate time this morning. So they're going to get into order very, very quickly. As Karl Klerbot now gets to the back part of the field, we now go into the tram lines very, very shortly. But Schublack better just hold back a second. You're going to have to wait for it to see if we get lights out this time around. Do we have red lights going out? We do, and we go down into turns 1 and 2 as Remy tries to go around the outside. Keep himself around the outside of Liveris, who's gone past the Swede up into second position and is now going to try and hunt down Son of Schublack for the lead of the race. So at the moment, it's still pretty much Schublack leading. Then it is DJ Liveris. Then we have David Remy. And I'm wondering if that is that Lasse Andreasen or Sebastian de Grand. Can't really tell at the moment. I'll wait until I come down the road here. That is a Dames Racing coloured kart there, so that looks to be Sebastian de Grand now up into 4th position, which it is the case, and just behind is the number 409 of Lasse Andreasen. So as the leaders come around to complete lap number 1, just over 10 minutes to go plus an additional lap. Schiblack leads, Liveris second, Remy, De Grande, Andreessen, Antonissen. Germain now goes into the lead of DD2 Masters, so has gone up the order from 11th to 7th position in that opening foray through into turns 1, 2 and 3. So the Brit making good her intentions and has been looking forward to coming back here to Karting Genk. But the top three, line is set at the minute. Schiblack leading, Liveris in second, Remy in third. In terms of DD2 Masters, Christoph Adams now is up into 9th place and second in the DD2 Masters classification thus far. And Karl Klebot up into 17th from 21st position. And looking to move up the order, has plenty of time to do so. And at the minute, just keeping an eye on the times at the moment, Schiblack and Liveris and Remy have all gone sub 55 seconds on that last tour alone. Now on to lap number 3 as Liveris and Remy hot on the heels of Schiblack. Schiblack not being allowed to breathe by any easy means necessary, but has got a little bit of a gap, a little bit of breathing space now heading onto the approach into turn 7 into the right hand sweeper 180 degree hairpin at turn 8. Now into 9. As there's a little bit of a coming together. Yellow flags at turn 7. One driver decided to send it up the inside, tried to do a Daniel Ricciardo, and it didn't quite work out. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact sent the kart spinning 90 degrees to the right hand side of the circuit. And the gap now between Son of Schiblack and Dionysius Liveris is now up to just over 0.3 of a second. David Remy still keeping himself there or thereabouts at that particular time. So Remy is going to have something to say quite vividly very, very shortly. So DJ Liveris is going to really watch what he does, and then a little bit further behind, it's a great little battle between Sebastian de Grande and also Lasse Andreessen. Antonissen is rounding out the top 6. Tamsin Germain still is leading in DD2. Christoph Adams has now dropped behind Jordi Klebot in the 410. And just behind Adams is just over a tenth behind is Michael Becker. So second position in DD2 Masters quite clearly under threat. So Adams has got to watch it now and see how Michael Becker responds. So Schiblack's lead is still just over 0.3 of a second over DJ Liveris as Remy got really up close and personal with the Greek driver going through the braking zone into turn number 2. So he's really got the anchors sorted on that Dan Holland racing kart. He's about a kart length behind DJ Liveris. So Liveris having to fend off Remy, and that's compromising his attacking strategy on Son of Schiblack, because Schiblack now, as unfortunately Christoph Leinen has pulled his kart into the pits and that was on lap number 3. Silvio Piparato from Germany in the meantime, as the move has happened for second position. So Remy was just waiting and bided his time and got past DJ Liveris. Liveris still not keeping the Swede. He's keeping the Swede very, very honest there, and he's going to have the slipstream advantage. And Remy was very quick and very wise to that. 436 from Greece tried to send it up the inside of the Swede onto turn number 2 and could not make it happen. So more changes up and down the order. Michael Becker has got past Christoph Adams for second position in the DD2 Masters running. Tamsin Germain still looking very, very well placed in around about 7th position. But in the meantime, whilst the positional changes happen again, DJ Liveris has got past David Remy for position with around 5 minutes and 50 to go, plus an additional lap in his first of 2 DD2 and DD2 Masters encounters here today at Karting Genk. So Schiblack did have a lead of just under 0.6. Could be around about that right now, just over 0.6 now, 0.606 from first to second, as Remy again gets very close in the braking zone. But whilst Liveris and Remy are battling, I've noticed that both de Grande and Lasse Andreessen are closing in. And at the minute, de Grande and Andreessen set their personal best of the race. Dionysius Liveris also did his personal best. David Remy was in the 55s. Now, obviously, battling away with DJ Liveris, he's having to really sort of keep the tyres alive as much as possible throughout the course of this race. But then it's also down to strategical. When are you going to make that move past your opponents? Where's the overtaking opportunities? How can you use the momentum, the slipstream, to your prime advantage? As Remy now closing back up on Liveris for second place. And at the moment still in... so Triblac leads. Liveris now is just under 0.6 of a second adrift. But Remy has closed right up on the back bumper of the Greek through turns 3, 4, now into 5, now into the right-hand hairpin at 6. Wasn't a gap there for Remy to go through. If Liveris had put it slightly wide, Remy would have thought, there's a gap, I'm going to go for it. And it is a prime overtaking opportunity spot, because once you carry the momentum through turns 3, 4 and 5, you've got a great run on your opponent going through into 6. So the battle at the front of the field still... so it looks like Schublack is starting to pull away. He's got about just over half a second. Might be less than that if Liveris and Remy are now starting to work together. Could be slightly truncated by the pair behind the Belgian. We'll see very, very shortly. Looks to be a little bit closer, that gap now. And it's 0.5. Just half a second between first and second position. So it looks like Liveris and Remy are working together. And the lap times they just put in, 54.428. 4.48 for Liveris, who set exactly the same best lap time he's done this race. And David Remy, 54.475, which means that Sander Schublack is just slightly slower by about 3/100ths of a second from the pair behind him at the moment. Sebastian Negron and Lasse Andreasen are trying to keep themselves away from Wout Antonissen in the 4.33. Jan Negussens is now past Tamsin Germain. Tamsin Germain still holds on to the lead in the DD2 Masters class with around 3 minutes plus an additional lap left to go in this first race of the day for the DD2 and the DD2 Masters drivers. So running order at the moment, it's Schublack, Liveris, and Dionysius Liveris halved that gap in that last lap alone, and also in the process set the fastest lap of the race at 54.357. So, and Schublack had a 54.6. That's incredible pace from Dionysius Liveris. He's obviously got that bit between the teeth that he had at Marienburg, and he's brought it with him to Karting Genk in spades. 2 minutes and 21 plus an additional lap left on the clock remaining. So DD2 Masters, Tamsin Germain in 8th overall, leading the class. Michael Becker in 2nd, ahead, 10th on the road, ahead of Christoph Adams. Looks like Schindler, that's Andreas Schindler, has definitely had... was looking to try and close up on Christoph Adams, but has a second gap between himself. Well, it was around about a second. Fritz Wernsen in 13th. Carl Klebot has made his way all the way up to 14th place, and that puts him 6th place. So he's got a little bit of work to do, but I think I'm going to say this now, obviously with Carl not having the greatest run in qualifying, must have had an issue of some kind, as oh my goodness, the 3 at the front, line astern through turn number 8 comes on the Schublack. David Remy tries to sneak up the inside of DJ Liveris. The Swede has to slot back into position, into 3rd. That was very, very well timed, but it wasn't well timed enough, as DJ Liveris was wise to that and thought, if you're going to try to go through the gap, I'm going to try and close it off, but be firm and fair at the same time. And he did so. But he still kept within striking distance of Zander Schublack. The gap, 0.215 of a second. We have 52 seconds on the clock or so, plus an additional lap left remaining. Just waiting for the timer to start to tick down. So now down to 40 seconds. And it's going to be interesting to see how the battle for first and second. Now these two are battling away for the title at this moment, and if it ends like it is now, Schublack will cut the lead to Liveris to just 8 points, because it's 25 for a win, 20 for second. So Liveris came into this round with a 13-point advantage, but I think he's got time. I think he's got something up his sleeve as the Greek driver from Dames Racing. I'm sure that Jan Dames is looking on. with great aplomb as they cross the line with 2 seconds to go. That was close if ever I saw it. And there we go, the lead has changed. Zander Schublak came under fire. Liris knew. He went, right, I've got 2 seconds, I'll have this and another lap to keep him at bay. He's done the first part of the job. Now it's the difficult part. When you get out in front, you are the one under attack. So now they go into turn 7 for what is the penultimate time. David Remy really could factor himself into maybe not getting third, but who knows? He's got a shot at the victory here, as David Remy from Sweden, but it's dependent on what happens with the 2 in front, as it's going to be defence on all sides from DJ Liveris from Dames Racing, the 436, but this could put an advantage not to what could have been 8 points. It's probably going to be 18, as that's it, last lap board is out. Schublak really coming under pressure from Remy, but Schublak absolutely sends it from nigh on nowhere. David Remy tries to go through, he's going up the inside of the Greek driver, he does. So straight away, that's going to be the 4-point advantage. That's going to be a 4-point advantage going into the next race for Dionysius Liveris, unless he can fire back with a salvo of his own in the next few corners. We're around halfway through the lap, but what a great lick the stamp and send it from Zander Schublak there. He just came from absolutely nowhere, put it straight past DJ Liveris, and then David Remy went, I'm going to have you as well, up the inside of turn 3, and does so. So your guess is as good as mine. It's going to be the checkered flag, and it's going to wave for Zander Schublak this time around. David Remy outdrags Dionysius Liveris, who knows that could have been his victory then, but he just got caught out. Also, Sebastian de Grand came very, very close indeed to snatching third. So Zander Schublak takes the win in this DD2 race here today at Karting Genk, the first of 4 this weekend. David Remy in second position. Dionysius Liveris in third place, ahead of Sebastian de Grand, with Lasse Andresen rounding out the top 5. The top 3 separated by just 1.35 seconds at the end of it all, because Schublak managed to get away whilst the rest were squabbling behind. Wout Antonissen took 6th place, ahead of Jordi Kleibort. Tamsin Germain takes her first category win, so the streak of Karl Kleibort is finally broken. Tamsin Germain takes a win here in DD2, just about 2/10 of a second ahead of Michael Becker, with Christoph Adams rounding out the top 3 in DD2 Masters, but rounding out the top 10 overall. Jarni Gussens in 11th, ahead of Andreas Schindler, Fritz Fransen, Karl Kleibort, Konrad Bayer, Wood Coulson, Roland Kinch, and Jamie Billings being the last of the 18 classified finishers. Ronald Billings ended up ending his race with 2 laps to go, with Silvio Peperato and Christoph Leinen not finishing the race.
Good to say for live stream that we are working on the quality of the
So that's the penultimate race of the morning's action here at Karting Genk. To conclude, well, we've got one more race to go, and it looks to be a brilliant one, as we've got our second of 3 qualifying heats for Senior Max very, very shortly. And this time it will be groups B and C. So Group B will be the first ones to complete their 2 qualifying heats, as I mentioned earlier on in the coverage, with regards to the points. The top 28 automatically qualify for the big final for the seniors at the end of the day, which is the top 36. And then those going into the second chance heat, and that's positions 29 to 43, will have to battle it out for the last 8 positions on the grid. And where they finish at the end of that race will determine their grid position from 29th to 36th. So, your grid for the last race before the lunch break is as follows. Stormbrewer and Ilian Brunsils are on the front row, ahead of Mads Ries and Lewis Gilbert. Tom Edmonds and Nick van der Mosselaar. That's row number 3, with Kieran Gifford and 2019 Rotax Max Euro Trophy Senior Max Champion Matilda Olsson. Rounding out the top 4 rows. Max Demmerink and Nelson King from the United Kingdom. That's the top 10 completed. James Lingard and Will Jenkins in 334 and 330 respectively. That's row 6, ahead of the 304 of Mick Knowlton, the 327 of Andreas Hebert, the 390 of Tim Mika Metz, the 384 of Samuel Harrison, the 310 of Mario Sidler, the 358 of Patrick Grunquist, the 343 of Shogo Endo, the 383 of Vincent van Kerkhoffen, Oscar Hall in the 380, the 375 of Lorenzo Stock, the 367 of Yash Ramjankan, the 350 of Victor Plateau, the 301 of Charlie Turner, the 306 of Ehad Turka, and in 27th and 28th position respectively, the 351 of Greece's Georgios Bersis, and the 364 of the United Kingdom's Josh Powell. So again, 7 minutes on the clock are set in stone, and then it will be with 1 additional lap. So it will be down to Stormbrewer and Ilian Brunsils to set the pace for the rolling start here in the final race before the lunch break here at Karting Genk, the home of champions, for the final round of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season, being held here in the fantastic, wonderful Limburg countryside. So the field has to get into formation very, very soon indeed, and we'll find out what happens this time around. We saw the first one was a humdinger. Let's see what happens in this one. 28 drivers set to get into battle over 7 minutes, plus an additional lap in our second and penultimate qualifying heat of the day for the penultimate race day of the season. Revs rise, lights go out, and we go racing, heading down into the first couple of corners. Stormbrewer gets a good lead there, and it looks like Mads Ries has jumped Ilian Brunsils, who has to go on to the runoff area through turn 2. They are allowed to use that on the very first lap. So Brunsils already down into 3rd place. Just behind him is Tom Edmonds. You've then got Lewis Gilbert and Kieran Gifford as well. So in many respects, Stormbrewer got an absolutely brilliant start there, but Mads Ries just went, I'm going to have a bit of action at the front. He's been very well known as a great Junior Max competitor last year. He's made the move to seniors this year. It's not been easy for the young Dane, but he does shine when he decides to put on a show for the ladies and gentlemen here at the circuit, and for those watching at home on the live stream. 6 minutes 13 plus an additional lap to go. Let's find out what the running order is after this first lap. Stormbrewer leads, Mads Ries in 2nd, Ilian Brunsils in 3rd place. Then it's Tom Edmonds, Lewis Gilbert, Matilda Olsson from Sweden up into 6th place now, ahead of Kieran Gifford, Nelson King, Nick van der Mosselaar, Max Demerdink, Andreas Hebert, Mick Knowlton. Looks like Will Jenkins, Tim Mika Metz and James Lingard round out the top 15. As there is an absolute swarm of carts heading down from what is effectively turn 6 to 7. Looks like Mads Ries now down into 4th position ahead of Lewis Gilbert. So that would indicate to me that Tom Edmonds has moved up into 3rd. Ilian Brunsils now is behind Stormbrewer for 2nd position. And they better be careful. They might run line astern here, the Senior Max drivers, but then if they start tripping over each other, it can get very heated very, very quickly indeed. So Gilbert's got to try and pull away as Matilda Olsson goes up the inside of Mads Ries. And looks like Nelson King trying to do the same on the Dane as well, but can't get past. As he was behind Kieran Gifford. As Gifford gets... there's definitely some argy-bargy down at the bottom part of the top 10. Mick Knowlton definitely trying to capitalise. So there's been a little bit of pushing and shoving all the way down from around 6th to 11th to 12th position. So some drivers trying to get the track, trying to get that bit of tarmac they want. Someone else tries to sling it through and goes, I'm going to have that. And then someone else goes, well, if you two are going to squabble over that same piece of tarmac, I'll go up the inside where there is a runoff. There is a bit of runoff, a bit of tarmac that I can have to myself without exceeding track limits. So Mick Knowlton definitely making amends for... he's had a difficult year as the Dutch driver. I've known him since 2018, and now he is running behind the 318 of Nick van der Mosselaar, as Ilian Brunsels now has the lead ahead of Sean Brouwer. Lewis Gilbert in third place, Tom Edmonds fourth. Behind, has got Matilda Olsson. Now, for those you normally see what Matilda Olsson runs in. It's normally Strawberry Racing on the Tony Kart chassis, but she's running a Sony Kart, which is the official chassis provider for the Grand Finals. So this is perfect track time. This is really allowing Matilda through the opportunity to race under pure race conditions to qualify, because when people... Oh, there's an absolute skirmish right down the back part of the field, probably towards the back, the lower dregs at the top 20. 3 and nearly 4 tried to go into the same corner at turn 7, and it nearly came out very, very messy indeed. Stormborough is going to be passed now by Lewis Gilbert, who goes up the inside of the Dutch driver, takes second place. Now we'll try and hunt down Ilian Brunsels. Brunsels is third in the championship. Gilbert is leading the 5 drivers from himself to 8th position, and has and it's basically a 27-point spread, as there's an absolute melee a little bit further down towards the bottom part, around about 7th, 8th, 9th position. Mick Knowlton definitely in the middle of that, and Nick van der Mosselaar's there. Andrés Hebert from France also there too, with the Dutch driver. And I'm just keeping an eye on the pace that Matilda Olsson is setting at the moment. She's just on a 55.607, 1/1000 slower than Ilian Brunsels, but the fastest driver out on the circuit at the moment, who is consistently running in the low to mid 55-second bracket, is the guy in second position, the Dorroy Diamond, Lewis Gilbert. So Gilbert definitely trying to close down on Brunsels. The gap was just over half a second. It is now near just under 3/10. So Gilbert really trying to pressurise now on Brunsels. Stormborough is there. Matilda Olsson is just waiting. Now this driver has been an absolute tour de force this year, not just over in the Euro Trophy, but also over in Sweden. But now, if anyone might remember from memory, she was part of the Strawberry Racing whitewash of the BNL Rotax Golden Trophy in Senior Max, which was won by Mark Kimber. Jordan Brown-Utley was second. Matilda Olsson, with still having to recover from the right knee injury, a broken knee. So she was still wearing a knee brace, but now she is definitely the person that really everyone's going to have to watch out for this weekend. So Brunsels still leads. Gilbert still in second. Stormborough maybe third, but for how much longer? Just under a minute and a half to go. And I have to say, Tom Edmonds definitely very much... Oh, Matilda Olsson went up the inside of Stormborough. Nice move by the Swede from Uppsala to take third position. Now has a chance. Now, given that we've got about a minute and 10 to go, we'll have this lap plus another one. So you're probably going to have another, including... So if we get to the end of this lap, we'll probably have another 2. So this is the first of 3 more laps to go in this race to take us through to the lunch break. So Olsson really hustling that Sony Kart chassis along. That's great work from the Swede. So Brunsels still continues to lead. Gilbert in second. Olsson. Then it's Brouwer. Then it's a little bit further back to Edmonds. Mads Rees in 6th place. And from 4th to 5th, a big gap. Then there's an absolute huge, river-like expanse as Nelson King has got up the inside of Mads Rees. That's a great job. Mick Knowlton could pounce past the Dane for what is effectively 8th position. As Nick van der Mosselaar now in 9th, it looks like. And make that 10th as Andrés Hebert now goes into 9th place. So the lead has been changing, hand over fist. And through it all, it was a 4-way squabble. Matilda Olsson and Stormborough. Oh, that's a bit of a hefty whack from behind, I must say. That unsettled Stormborough. Nearly put the kibosh on Ilian Brunsels, who's had to fend off Lewis Gilbert for 3rd place. So Olsson just had the measure of the 3 of them went up the inside, took the inside line, went powered down to turn 7, got a bump from behind from... that's a bit of... now, that was definitely something interesting there, as Gilbert and... well, Tom Edmonds has just gone, thanks, boys, you've been squabbling, I'll have the pair of you. So, Brunseel's now in 4th, tries to go up the inside. This is getting really, really feisty in the battle for 3rd position, as Olson and Breuer now on the final lap. It's just gone upside down and it's been shaken like a sand timer before you set it down. And the sands of time are quickly running out because Edmonds now has lost out to Gilbert and Brunseel's now who are battling. Brunseel's trying to go around to the outside of Gilbert through turn 7, but the 2 leaders line astern through turn 9 for the final time. But then 3rd place, it's not just 2 carts, it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. That's a 6-cart battle over 3rd place. But the checker flag is being prepared. Olson is just going to park it where she needs to. And will take a well-deserved victory. So Matilda Olson on the Sony kart chassis takes the win here at the final round. And Ilian Brunseels outdrags Lewis Gilbert. Well, that was definitely very interesting indeed. So Brunseels takes 3rd ahead of Gilbert. Tom Edmonds could have got 3rd place, but ended up 5th. Mick Knowlton would finish ahead of Nelson King. So Mick Knowlton in 6th place. Mads Lies dropping all the way down to 8th from 3rd. Andres Hebert and Kieran Gifford ran out the top 10. But that was very, very interesting indeed. 2 major plays there that really saw the race unfold before our very eyes. And I think probably when Matilda Olson saw that huge big gap on the inside of turn 6, with around about a lap and a half to go, she went, right, that's it, that's mine. And she claimed it and took the win. So Olson wins from Storm Breuer, Ilian Brunseels, Lewis Gilbert, Tom Edmonds, Mick Knowlton, Nelson King, Mads Lies, Andres Hebert, Kieran Gifford, Max Stemmerdink, James Lingard, Charlie Turner, Patrick Rundqvist and Nick van der Mosselaar ran out the top 15. They all score respective points towards their qualification. Then from 16th onwards it was Will Jenkins, Tim Mika Metz, Endo Shogo, Mario Sidler, Victor Plateau, Vincent van Kerkhoven, Samuel Harrison, Yash Ramjankan, Lorenzo Stolk, Ehad Turker, Georgios Bersis, Oscar Hall and Josh Powell rounding out the 28 strong, who all finished, all separated by 17.8 seconds at the end of that race. Right, well that very conveniently takes us to the 1 hour lunch break. So we'll resume the action with the final qualification heat for seniors at 25 past 1, that's 13:25 Central European summertime. And well, that was a very interesting Senior Max final, so I'll be back on the microphone just before 25 past 1 this afternoon here on the Circuit PA, the live stream. Downforce Radio, the nation's motorsport station, apart from the fact that I will have to upload some sound bites this evening. Unfortunately, a bit of the transmission got lost. I don't know what happened there, but we'll rectify that, so we'll have all the action provided for you on our on the Downforce Radio Spreaker network. So from me, Alex Goldschmidt, that's it for the lunch break. I'll be back on the air just before 25 past 1 this afternoon.